You also conduct some analysis of the phone number 203-606-8969, which the subscriber information indicated Shayana Jenkins.
I did.
And did you also, in addition to looking at those cellular phone records in great detail, did you also have various conversations with Senior Inspector Tony Vasali, or Anthony Vasali from the United States Marshal Service?
Yes, sir.
And based upon a compilation of that information that we just described, being the plotting of the cell towers by Mr. Vasali, did you look at the plotting that Mr. Vasali did?
I did.
And did you also review the records from AT&T provided for those two numbers in great detail?
Yes, sir.
And based upon all that information, Mr. Settana, did you create two charts, one for each phone number, that basically in chronological order merges calls, texts, and data usage for those two phones?
Yes, sir.
And in addition, did that chart that you created, Mr. Settana, also include the cell tower locations, both in the form of longitude, latitude, but more importantly for the jurors, the addresses?
Yes, sir.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
Donna, I'm first going to show you one document, which for the record is six pages, and the number listed on top is 562-481-8106. Do you recognize that document, sir?
Yes, it's something I created.
You created that document? And is that a summary spreadsheet for the number 562-481-8106, indicating, as we previously stated, the calls, text, and data in chronological form, as well as the cell site locations and duration of the call?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask the six-page document be marked and entered as next numbered exhibit subject to redaction.
Subject to redaction without objection.
To be received.
Mr. Settana, I'm showing you a five-page document. Do you recognize that, sir?
Yes.
Tell us what that is.
This is basically the same as the 562 number. I took the 203-606-8969 AT&T records, and I just simplified the records by combining them, the text and the data and the voice.
And do you also have the cell tower location as far as the addresses for each cell tower hit, sir?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I said the five-page document be marked and entered as next numbered exhibit subject to redaction.
Subject to redaction, no objection.
It's received.
Now, Mr. Settana, I want to call your attention to the work you performed in this case relative to the video that was provided by both the Cure Lounge as well as the video provided by the Tufts Medical Center. Did you have an opportunity to view all of the video provided by those two entities?
Yes.
And can you approximate, Mr. Settana, approximately how many hours you spent watching those videos?
I would guess well over 100 hours, close to 200 maybe.
Mr. Settana, are you familiar with the various camera angles that were provided by Cure as well as the camera angles and footage that was provided by Tufts Medical Center?
Yes, sir.
Calling your attention now, Mr. Settana, to any efforts that you engaged in to determine if all of the Tufts cameras that were provided, the 8 cameras that were provided, whether or not they were synchronized in time.
I think the Cure cameras.
Cure, I'm sorry, I said Tufts again, Cure.
So the Cure cameras are all synced except for one Cure camera, camera 13.
You may. Mr. Hayes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Settana, I believe I'd asked you about any efforts you made to determine whether or not at least the 8 Cure cameras were relatively in sync time-wise. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I said Cure, correct?
Yes.
And I've just placed the letter L for identification on the board or on the easel to your left, and there is a pointer near you if you need it. Can you describe what you did, Mr. Settana, at least on the cameras that we see here on the diagram marked as L, to determine whether or not they appear to be relatively in sync time-wise?
Sure. Basically, I wanted to figure out if they were all in sync, all the cameras from Cure, and so I picked just one specific time and to see if they would all match. Here we have Paige Aiello's ID. We can see in camera 2 that he's scanning the ID, and the same in camera 3. If we were to pull up camera 5, you would see Paige Aiello standing right outside the door. She had just handed the ID to the bouncer. And from there you just work backwards. We'll see it in the next exhibit if we can put that up. If you have them next to each other, it's a lot easier to understand.
I'm just going to place what's been marked as the letter K, and if you need me to take that down, just let me know. Describe what you observed with the other cameras from Club Cure as to whether or not they appear to be in sync.
Sure. So, like I said, we have Paige Aiello standing outside. She had just handed the ID to the bouncer, who was scanning it, as we saw. And I needed to connect these two to make sure that they were in sync. Specifically, this one person makes.
Can you tell the camera numbers that you're referring to, Mr. Settana? That
Sure.
may help.
Camera 8 and camera 5, you can prove that they're synced. This young lady is on a cell phone and she's raising her hand. You can see up here at her left hand. It's the same as this right here. From here, we have this person in camera 7. You can see him here, and you can see him here. So we have all these, and he's in the exact same spot, at the exact same time.
So let me stop you for a minute there. So based upon what you've just testified to, Mr. Settana, did it appear at least the 2 cameras inside the lobby and the 3 cameras you just described appeared to be in sync time-wise?
Yes, everyone so far is in sync.
Did you find a camera of the Cure video cameras that were provided that appeared to not be quite in sync with the others?
Camera 13 is off by 56 seconds.
Tell us how you determine that.
Sure. Basically, you can see the defendant and Alexander Bradley right here crossing. You can see them right here crossing, right by the cones here. Look at their feet. You can see their feet right here crossing. And here we have the victims.
Try to keep your voice up, Mr. Settana. I know you're turning towards the board.
I apologize. So we have the defendant, Alexander Bradley, crossing the street, leaving the W Hotel, what I think is the W Hotel. We have them right here, and we have them right here, their feet in the same position, at 12:27:58, where everywhere else it's 12:28:54.
So the difference you found was 12:28:54 on one camera. On camera 13 was 12:27:58. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So that indicates what difference in time
I
between
think,
camera 13 and
did
the
I
others?
say 56 seconds maybe?
Faster or slower?
It should be slower.
So camera 13 is 56 seconds slower than the other Cure cameras?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Settana, I want to call your attention now to any analysis you did of the Cure cameras compared to the cameras from the Tufts Medical Center, in particular the Tufts Floating Plaza camera. Did you do some analysis of those camera footage to determine whether or not they're in sync time-wise?
Yes. Obviously, you would like to account for everybody in every position the entire time. But I wanted to find out the time between when they left the Cure cameras and appeared on the closest Tufts camera, which is the Tufts Floating Plaza camera. So I just did a couple tests.
Objection.
Overruled at this stage. Let's hear what they are.
Sure. So what I did was...
Mr. Settana, for the record, I have in the computer, and you have a wireless mouse in front of you, Exhibit 29, which is the Tufts video, all of the video from Tufts Medical Center garage. I also have before you Exhibit, I believe, 26, which is the Cure camera footage, as well as Exhibit 56, which is a video with circles and Mr. Bradley. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Could you just describe, and again, using those exhibits before you with a wireless mouse, what you did to determine any difference in time?
Sure. I was looking for a car that was going at speed, better than an 18-wheeler. So, because there isn't that much space in between, I average about 90 yards in between.
Okay, objection.
Sustained.
So you found a part of the video. Right now, for the record, we have the Cure video. Is that correct? And
Yes,
it's up.
at 12:47:23.
And which camera number is that for Cure?
Camera 8.
And does that show an 18-wheel truck?
It does.
And in the video, which you could hit play if you wanted to, does that truck appear to be traveling and moving?
Yes.
And did you take that video that we see on the screen now and then compare it to a video from the Tufts camera?
I did.
And can you please put that up on the screen? And tell us what we see here and what, if any, significance that had to you in viewing this.
We have the same 18-wheeler entering the screen at 44:15.
44:15?
Yes.
And what was the time that it was on camera 8 of Club Cure?
12:47. 12:47:23.
And what is the difference in time there?
It was about, I'd say, approximately 3 minutes.
So the Cure video appears to be 3 minutes slower or faster than the Tufts video?
The Cure video is 3 minutes faster.
3 minutes faster.
3 minutes faster than the Tufts video.
And what other types of comparisons did you do relative to that video to determine if there was a difference in time between the two sources?
Sure. I took the Toyota 4Runner, and where I know it entered.
Can you pull that up on the screen?
Sure. Let's get that right here.
So tell us what we see.
You have the Toyota 4Runner at 2:20:59 entering the Tufts video floating plaza video screen. So then, if I was correct with the 3 minutes, I went back to camera 8, and I put it right around that time and hit play just to see where it was. And if you hit play, you'll see it turning the corner right here. So
What
at
is it-
2:23:59.
At
So it's
23:59?
Yep.
So what is the approximate difference in time between
Once
those?
again, it's right around 3 minutes.
And is it fair to state, without having to go through others, did you look at other examples as well in the course of your analysis?
I did.
And did they all come out to about the same?
Yes, sir.
And what result was that, sir?
That it was that Tufts is about 3 minutes slower than the Cure video.
So a time that we see on the Cure video, you would subtract
3 minutes.
3 minutes for the Tufts video.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Settana. I have no further questions.
Thank you.
Mr. Sullivan.
Mr. Settana, good morning.
Good morning.
Even accounting for the 56-second difference in the Cure videos, even accounting for that, did your hundreds of hours of review of videos show anybody spilling a drink on Aaron Hernandez?
No, sir.
Did your hundreds of hours of review of the video show anybody bumping into Aaron Hernandez?
No, sir.
And given your hundreds and hundreds of hours of review of these videos and some time difference between Tufts and Cure, did any of your review show Mr. Hernandez in the passenger seat of a Toyota 4Runner at the corner of Harold and Shawmut at about 2:30 a.m.?
I did not see that, no, sir.
2:33 a.m.?
No, sir.
2:27 a.m.?
I don't believe so, sir. No.
So I'm trying to account for
Yep.
3 minutes on either side.
There was no video camera there, so I couldn't see
And Mr. Hagan showed you a... Did Mr. Hagan move the mouse?
it. I have the mouse here, sorry.
Okay. Now that is one way to slow down my cross, right? Mr. Hagan, Mr. Hagan showed you a video of a Toyota 4Runner, or a car, a silver car,
Sure.
that was on the screen. It seems not to be coming up.
The Bradley circles.
Great. Can you see a license plate on that car?
I cannot, sir.
Are you aware in your hundreds of hours of review that another Toyota 4Runner left the garage about 2:15, 2:16 a.m.?
Yes, sir.
And it had a Massachusetts plate?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell whether that's a Massachusetts plate on this car?
I cannot, sir. No, sir.
Brief indulgence. No further questions.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. You may
Thank you.
sit down, please. Watch your step. Commonwealth.
Sir, I'd like to have a stipulation of the parties marked as the next numbered exhibit, and with the court's permission, I'd like to read it to the jury.
379?
Yes, Your Honor.
Exhibit 379.
We would ask that Your Honor read it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, remember what I told you at the outset as to what constitutes evidence in a trial. That is the testimony of witnesses, any exhibits that were received into evidence and given an exhibit number, and stipulations, being agreements between the two sides. And a stipulation is evidence, and the parties have come to a stipulation that they're asking that I read. It's now marked and received as Exhibit 379, and it reads, "Now come the parties in the above caption matters, and hereby stipulate the following. First, in 2015, an individual had communications with the defendant, Aaron Hernandez, and during these communications, this individual referred to the defendant as, quote, double A, end quote. Second, this individual knew the defendant, and this individual was someone other than Alexander Bradley. The stipulation is signed on behalf of the defendant by Mr. Baez, on behalf of the Commonwealth by Mr. Hagan, and that is now fully an exhibit. And you may accept that stipulated fact as true because it's not disputed between the parties. Mr. Hagan.
May we approach briefly?
You may. Commonwealth.
Your Honor, the Commonwealth rests.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Commonwealth has rested, meaning all the evidence the Commonwealth deems appropriate for your consideration in determining this case has now been presented. Now remember what I told you at the outset of the trial and on occasion during the course trial. The burden of proof in a criminal case lies with the state. That is, the Commonwealth, having brought the charge, bears the burden of proving the essential elements of that charge or charges beyond a reasonable doubt. A defendant in a criminal case has no burden whatsoever to present any evidence, and a defendant in a criminal case is presumed innocent unless or until you conclude unanimously that the Commonwealth has met its burden of proof. Notwithstanding, a defendant in a criminal case has the right to present evidence, So at this stage of the proceedings, we turn to the defense for any evidence offered on behalf of the defendant. Counsel.
We do have evidence, Your Honor. We do have motions, just to be sure that those motions need filed.
They're filed and reserved. Thank you.
Very, very well, Your Honor. And maybe we have 5 minutes to set up. We do intend to call witnesses. We need to do some things with the screen.
Take a 5-minute recess.
Very well. All right, please.